Okay, hi you all. So over the next couple of videos, we are going to be learning about the idea of what makes something a confounding factor. That's the big theme for this week. But we're going to start by looking at a study about mopeds, and specifically moped accidents. So our question is, which position is safer in a moped study? You have the passenger and you have the driver. And what we really care about is not just safety in general, but specifically head injuries, which are the particularly damaging sort of accident. So if you're thinking about head injuries, it kind of makes sense that the passenger looks more protected than the driver. In an accident, you think the driver would hit first. So our question first is just, how would you test this? We're going to do it with a case control study. Again, the outcome we're interested in is whether you have a head injury after a moped accident, with the passenger being in the exposed position and the driver the unexposed. So I'd like you to take a few minutes and think about how you would design this study. You should have the Google form open, and I want you to pause the video and sketch out who your case group would be, who your control group would be, and a little bit about what you want to know from each group. So pause the video, and why don't you go do that and come back. Okay, once you've sketched that out in the form, here's my answer. My case group would be, first of all, I'm only looking at moped riders who got into accidents. That's everybody who's in my study. So the case group will be moped riders who got into accidents and who got a head injury as a result. And I'd want to know whether they were the passenger or the driver. My control group will be the moped riders who also got into accidents but didn't have a head injury. And again, I'd be asking if they were either the passenger or the driver. So that seems to make some sense. Where are we going to get our data from? Well, there was this data from the Spanish Registry of Traffic Crashes, and they had recorded data on it's over almost 200,000 moped riders who were involved in a traffic crash that had victims between 1990 and 1999, where helmet use was recorded. And the registry kept track of both what position somebody was, driver or passenger, and the outcome of the crash. So again, everybody on this injury had been injured in a crash. So I'd like you to think a little bit about this design. Do you have any concerns about bias in this study? We've talked a lot about bias in case control studies. Again, pause for a moment and give me your thoughts on the Google form. Okay. This is an interesting type of case control study because normally when we talk about them, we're collecting retrospective data, we're asking people who are a case group and the control group, and there's a real concern about measurement bias. You're going to just get different information from your case group than from your control group. But in this case, all of the data was actually recorded at the time of the accident. It's only kind of now that we're looking back at it. So the data would have been recorded in about the same way for both groups of people. The control group isn't like just our random community controls that we've seen. So there's less source for measurement bias in here than there often is in case control studies, and that's kind of nice. Now let's look at the data. Here you go. You've got who has head injuries and who has our control group. Again, another injury, but not to the head. The exposed is the passenger. The unexposed is the driver. I'd like you to think about which measure of association you should be calculating. Should it be an RR or an OR? Calculate it and interpret it. This is the last slide for now. I'd like you to do that and fill your answer in on the form. The next video will pick up right with that answer. So once you've done that, why don't you start the next video?